Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes weekly webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you some beautiful papers and embellishments from our friends at Arden Creative Studio. We have pattern papers, we have laser cuts, and we have rub-ons. So much to look at today. So let's get a closer look, and we can start with our paper pack. So here you can see you've got the Vintage Makers Ledger Essentials paper pack. This is a 6 by 8 inch set, and you can see all of the designs that we've got here right on the front and how they're grouped into some coordinating pairs. But it's always fun to flip through sheet by sheet. So let's take a look here, and you can see these absolutely stunning designs. Now you will have 2 sheets each of 12 double-sided papers for 24 sheets in total. As I'm flipping through, I think you can see the ledgers that we've got here in the background, as well as these beautiful botanicals overlaying. Now this is a gorgeous look to work with, and also one that's really easy to use because of course you can work these papers in as your backgrounds, but you can also cut apart areas and use them as your focals. Borders are really easy here too. They are just such a delight to work with. And of course, with Katie Pertitte's design style, you've got everything that coordinates so beautifully. Just have a look at this sweet little bird here. Now you've got your background papers. You've also got 2 sheets that are kiss cut designs, and these are the 2 sheets here. These have micro perforated designs, so these will just pop right out of that backing sheet. I like these for being double-sided as well, so you can see all of the text, especially on this sheet here. When I flip this over, you've got another option to work with on the other side should you choose to. So a really versatile collection all in all. So remember, you've got 2 sheets each of 12 double-sided papers for 24 designs in total. Now let's take a look at the laser cut collection. And you can see again some of the designs here on the front of the package. Here you've got 78 laser cut designs to work with. And I'll unfold this first sheet here so you can see these absolutely stunning designs. Again, they'll just pop right out of that backing sheet there, and you can add them to your project. So here's one set, and then here is the other. Now these are also double-sided, so you can see one side here with the words and the text. Then if I flip this over, you'll notice that you've got some empty space here. You can add your own personalization. So this is all included in the laser cut collection. Then let's have a look at our rub-ons. So let me grab the rub-on set here and we can take a look. Now these are of course designed to coordinate perfectly. Just have a look. These designs are gorgeous. And you've got lots of beautiful botanicals in here, butterflies. I also really appreciate the background splotches here. These work really nicely with layering. You've got some more colorful ones here, as well as some more subtle designs that work beautifully in coordination with the ledger backgrounds. Now also included, you've got your applicator tool as well, and we'll talk about just how easy it is to put those to use on your projects. So as you can see, we have got just so much to play with today, from our laser cuts to our rub-ons to those absolutely stunning pattern papers. I'm so excited to explore the creative possibilities with you, and I'm just really glad you're here with me today. So come play with us. Let's start with this simple collage card, which features a focal of layered rub-ons and laser cut images, as well as one of the kiss cut elements from the paper pack. So let's start at the bottom of the card and work our way up. I first covered my card front with this solid teal cardstock, and this is coming from the Mystical Florals collection from Hot Off the Press, and I'm using the solid cardstock in this 12 by 12 set throughout today's webisode. Then I've cut down this absolutely gorgeous patterned paper from the paper pack to be slightly smaller. And I've inked around the outside edges with some ink to create some really soft shading. And I think you can see the difference here if I'm just putting these two together, especially right up here in the corner. and how that's really creating a nice shadow element around the front of the card. This is super simple to do. I'm using the khaki dye-based ink from Hunky Dory and my blending brush, and you can see I'm working onto my craft mat. So let me just scoot aside my card here and show you how easy this is to do. So what I'm going to do is hold my pattern paper here on my craft mat and then just pick up some of the ink onto my blending brush. And I really like these ink pads because not only do they come in a variety of really great colors, but the ink pad itself is raised up off of this plastic base, which makes it easy to get that ink onto your blending brush. And then from here, working from my craft mat into the paper design, I'm just going to gently apply that ink in a circular motion. And you can use a light touch, you can use a heavier application, just depends on how much color you want to add in there, but I think you can see how easy that is. So I've got a fairly light application here. If I wanted to add some more color, I'll just keep repeating. Now you can also blend your colors, your ink colors, if you want to. This just creates such a nice way to add a bit of shading and dimension to your pattern papers, regardless of what kind of papers you have. But of course, anything with a vintage touch like the ledger papers is going to work beautifully. So that's what I've done around the outside edge of my pattern paper here, going around all four sides before gluing it to the front of my card. Then on top, I have my layered focal, and I've got this frame here. This is, as I mentioned, from the paper pack. This is one of those kiss cut designs, and again, this will just pop right out. These do have lots of layers to them, so you've got the outside frame, then you've got an inside frame, you've got the circular element here, which has text on one side and blank on the other side. So I've just popped that up, and I've added this to my card front with some foam tape. So I have a bit of dimension. Behind here is some of this light blue cardstock from the Mystical Florals collection, and I've applied a rub-on right on top of that. So that's going underneath my laser cut element here. Now the rub-ons are super simple to apply, but let's take a look at that. I'm going to bring in my pattern paper and my rub-on. Now you'll notice that I've got my rub-on here with the liner paper. So when you're trimming this out of the main sheet, just grab your scissors, cut around, give yourself some space around the outside edge of the image, and do keep those two layers together until you decide where you want this to go. Now you could put this onto solid cardstock as I did, but I thought for the demo it would be fun to see what this looks like if we put it onto some of this gorgeous ledger paper. So I'm just going to kind of move this around here before I place it down, figure out exactly where I want that to go, and then just gently smooth this down. I've got a little leftover bit of this top layer, and I'm going to kind of fold this over so I've got something to sort of hang on to, and I'll smooth this down. So this does stay in place. It's not going to go sliding around. Then what you can do is come in with your applicator, looks like a popsicle stick, and just gently burnish this in place. And I do like to make sure to go around all of the outside edges. These designs have little splatters and marks around the outside, so you want to make sure to get all of those too. And then really make sure also that the center of the image is transferred there. Now what I'm going to do is grab onto this little handle that I have, and I'm very slowly and gently pulling this off. I don't want to pull it off all in one swoop, because just in case something didn't transfer, I can place this back in place and continue burnishing. But I think I've got it all together, and there you go. So it's such a great way to add another layer to any of your pattern papers or those gorgeous collage papers and create even more depth and dimension. Super simple to do. So that's what I've done here with one of those beautiful snippet background rub-ons here onto that solid cardstock. And then I've added the frame on top and created this cluster with the laser cut leaves. I've got this ticket, I've got the circular sentiment and the little heart. So these are all glued down right on top of the frame. Then I flipped the frame over and added foam tape behind the paper piece, as well as some small pieces of foam tape behind the leaves that extend past the frame, and that helps to keep everything level and even. I also have a little butterfly laser cut over here. She's popped up with some foam tape too. Then for my card inside, I kept things really simple. I've got some inked pattern paper, I've got this tag image and another botanical, plus the circular message to finish it off. I absolutely love this little bird laser cut, and I just knew that I had to use him on a card. So let me show you where he is in the laser cut collection, right up here at the top corner. And again, you can just pop this right out of the backing sheet and then adhere it to your project either with regular glue or with some foam tape if you wish. And I decided to use another one of the laser cut pieces to create kind of a mat around him. And that's this ephemera piece right here. Then I've also added the word sweet and popped that up with a little bit of foam tape to create a really simple collage here for my focal. I also have a little bit of jute twine tied in a bow there for some extra softness. And this entire piece is also popped up with some foam tape. Now my card background combines some of that beautiful patterned paper plus two different shades of cardstock here. One for the background and one for this easy lacy border. Now the border is made using the On the Edge die. So let's have a look at this. Now here you've got 4 different lacy borders. Each of them, they will vary in width, but they're all 6 inches long. You can use these in a lot of different ways. They're really versatile. I'm going to flip this over and you can see we've got some written instructions, another look at that card project idea, and then some tips on different ways that you can use those borders. I want to show you too, I've done a little sampler with all of the different borders here, so you can see the variety of designs. You'll also notice that you've got just the lace portion that is really cut out, and then you've got a border down here. Now this could be the front of your card panel if you want. You can also trim it down so that you can have these act as borders, standalone borders. So let me show you what I mean here. Let's flip this over. When you die cut this, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. So again, you can make this border portion as wide as you want to. Just grab your scissors and then snip this out and you can have a standalone border if you wish. Now with any kind of lacy die like this, I do really recommend when you're gluing it down, give the sticky specks a try. These are really, really useful. They're micro dots of adhesive and they come on quite large sheets, and I generally cut them down. So what you'll have here is the orange sheet has these micro dots of adhesive. You'll place your die cut or your image on this side, press it down, smooth it down, and then you can peel it off of this sticky portion, and it essentially becomes a sticker. And this works really nicely, especially with these intricate designs, so that you don't have glue sort of going everywhere. Really, really useful. So that's what I've done here to create this border on here. Now I've also got 2 rub-on designs on the front of the card. I've got this large teal kind of, I'm calling it a splotch, this portion right here. And I've applied that onto the background paper, and I really like how that turned out. You can kind of see through some of that design with the design underneath. So I've got my splotch here. Then I've also got this little border portion, which is on this sheet right over here. And I've applied that right over the lace portion of this border, a part of it. And you might think that the rub-ons wouldn't transfer well onto a slightly dimensional border, but it actually worked quite well. So then I've got my bird and my ephemera piece popped up here. I've got my jute twine, and the rest of the design is quite simple. I've done a little bit of inking around the outside edge of the card front using muddy boots and a blending brush. Then for the card inside, I have another die cut border layered over some pattern paper. I've got another splotchy rub-on underneath, and I've got this gorgeous little butterfly and the Seek Adventures sentiment on top. Our next card project has a rub-on focal. Now this actually is a couple of different rub-ons as well as some simple ink blending to create kind of a resist effect. So here I've got one rub-on applied to white cardstock. I have a second rub-on layered on top, and then I've also added in some khaki ink. So let's take a look at this process. And we'll start with the rub-on that is on the bottom, which is one of these really beautiful collage backgrounds. So I'm using this piece right here, applied that straight onto plain white cardstock, and then layered this design on top. So you can layer your rub-ons. You can layer on multiple rub-ons if you want to. Really easy to do and a great way to mix and match the designs too. So let's take a look here. I've got one of the collage backgrounds already rubbed onto my plain white cardstock. So step one is already done, just like we saw in the beginning of the webisode. Then I'm going to take another rub-on, same process as before. Simply remove that liner sheet, and let's see, let's put the butterfly, let's put her right there. So she's half on the rub-on design and half off. I'll position that down and then add my burnishing here. Now when I do this, the first time I tried this technique, I thought for sure applying one rub-on would somehow remove part of the rub-on on the bottom, but it doesn't. It works really nicely. Okay, so let's grab onto this portion and pull this up again slowly. And there I've got my butterfly all applied right on here. It works really nicely. Now again, working onto my craft mat, I want to add a little bit more color here. So I'll bring in my khaki dye-based ink pad and again my blending brush and pick up a little color here. And then I'm just going to go around the outside edges. Now the rub-on applied to the cardstock is a non-porous surface, so it's going to act as a resist to my dye-based ink, which means I can go all the way across this if I want to and then just kind of blot it off with a cloth. The ink will not absorb into the rub-on area, but it will absorb into the cardstock that I'm using for my background. So I'll just continue adding some color on here, and I think you can already see where this rub-on is resisting the ink and it's giving this really pretty kind of halo effect there. And as with any inking, you can add as much ink or as little as you want to. You can have some really dramatic effects here. And there you go. Super simple to do, and I think it creates a really nice option for you when you're coordinating your colors with your background designs. So I'm going to move this aside and bring back in my original card, and I'll show you the pattern paper that I'm using as my background. There's also a bit of khaki inking on here as well. This is the design that I'm using. Again, there's another look at that sweet little bird there. And I've done some inking around the outside edge. Of course, I've also got my green cardstock, which is covering the front of my card. I'm using some of the rectangle and scalloped cutting dies to create my focal. So I've got a straight edge layered on top of a scallop edge rectangle and then another straight edge rectangle with some pattern paper underneath. I've also added a laser cut floral here on top of my rub-on focal. I've got the little postage, and then I've got two elements here which are popped up with foam tape. The little heart is simply glued right down, and then I've got another laser cut botanical underneath, and it's kind of extending past the edges of my patterned paper here. This portion is up with foam tape, again, a little bit of dimension in there. Then for my card inside, I have a really simple collage with a leftover strip of pattern paper. This is one thing that I really love about these pattern papers, how easily you can use your leftover snippets and borders to create really pretty and simple collages. So I've glued that here and then overlapped it with another rub-on. So going over onto the back of the inside of my card, as well as overlapping the patterned paper. I've got a dragonfly laser cut and the Dream Big Dreams sentiment to finish it off. Our final card project has a fun twist, and this is made with the Easy Duo Display card die, which gives you lots of options for creating some dimensional effects on your cards. So let's have a look at the die set that I'm working with. This makes it so easy. You can see here you've got two dies included. You've got the long strip and you've got the crossbar. You also have, of course, Hot Off the Press gives you project ideas on the front of the package. I also like that they give you another look at that project idea on the back of the package, along with your written instructions and your folding and assembly diagram here. And this is the storage folder, by the way, where you can keep your dies when they're not in use. Now you'll notice here there's an M and a V. That stands for mountain fold and valley fold. That's all you'll need to know to create your card design. So let's start out first with a blank card. This is a 5 by 6.5 inch blank card. I've got the fold here on the side, and I'm going to take the front panel and just fold it back like so. You can use a bone folder to create that crease, or you can even use your rub-on applicator to do that. So you will have a card that looks like this. This is your mountain fold. And then from here, you can add your die cut pieces. So you'll have two pieces. You'll have one that looks like this, and then you'll have the smaller crossbar. The crossbar is actually optional. I've used one. You can use one, two, or none, just depending on how many layers you want going on the inside of your card. I'm going to scoot that aside for now. But this is the band that's going to go across the front of your card. So again, mountain fold and valley fold. That's all you need to do. And then you will glue this to your card. One portion on that folded over front panel, and then the second portion is going to get glued right on the inside back of your card. This area here will remain open. Let me show you one where it's already glued down. You can see it a little bit better, and it will go like so. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that you can add this, I'm calling it a band. You can add the band either at the bottom, it could be up around the center. You can really play with the positioning of that. So that is totally up to you. Now, if you want to add the crossbar in here, what you'll do is fold those two short ends. I recommend using extra sticky tape for this. Anytime you've got a crossbar component or something that's going to get opened and closed a lot, I do really like using that extra sticky tape. So you'll apply it to the two short ends, and then you can fit this inside like so. And you can position that wherever you want that to go. Let me show you again my card project, and you can see where I've got that nested kind of closer to the back of the card. And from there you can add on embellishments and ephemera if you wish. So it could not be easier to do, and I think it creates a really beautiful effect. So for my card design, I lined the inside back with this gorgeous floral pattern paper, and then I added solid green cardstock to this panel here and the front panel. Now the band is a darker green cardstock, and I've added cutouts along the band as accents. So those are glued overlapping in a kind of a collage format. And then I've got some rub-ons here. I've got this beautiful floral rub-on here. I've got a little snippet of that collage background rub-on up here too. And then I've got the Always and Forever sentiment popped up and accented with some jute twine. Popped up with foam tape, I should say. Accented with some jute twine. And then in the center, I have a laser cut plus another little sentiment here, just simply glued right inside. And I've got another rub-on just tucked up here in the corner. I've got a butterfly laser cut piece popped up with foam tape here. And then behind here, I've got one of the tag elements from the paper pack. So fun and easy to do. And I think this style of card is great when you've got a lot of laser cut or ephemera pieces and everything coordinates so easily. Really comes together nicely. And of course, if you just want to dazzle your card recipient, this is a great card design to do too. And this is our final project of the day today. A big thank you to you for joining me today, and a big thank you to our friends at Arden for yet another stunning collection. So fun to work with. We're really glad that you are here with us as viewers today. We're so happy that you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. So please do feel free to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 6 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.